Well, first I want to say thank you for the opportunity to share my success and be here amongst a highly respected company that I'm very proud that I started at. Gosh, dang it. It was all those stories about Lloyd. So I have a quote that sits by my door of my office. It was given to me by John Shepard, who many of you know, who used to work for Pioneer Industries as well. And it says, "Proceed as if success is inevitable." So I look at that and I read it every day before I leave out of my office and go to work. So hopefully I can be successful out there and help others be successful as well. But before I share where I am today and how Pioneer helped me on my journey, I need to take a step back and tell you what brought me to Pioneer. I made a ton of bad choices when I was younger, and I spent 2.5 years transporting methamphetamines, which led me to spending 120 months in federal prison. There are many things that make an impact in life at prison. One of those for me was I spent 5 years blaming others for why I was there and 4 years becoming accountable for my actions. There's something that happens that is difficult to put in words once a person admits they were wrong and soul searches to forgive and move on. Once I moved on, the opportunities were endless and the doors started to open for me, and I knew right then I didn't ever want to go back. As the release date got closer, the feelings are mixed. You're scared, you're anxious, you're unsure. You don't know what's going to happen. After that long, there's a point in your life you don't even know what you like. You don't know what you want to wear. You don't know what you want to eat. You don't know what you want to do. You've been doing the same thing for so long. So I was lost, confused, and scared. I was going to a place where I didn't know anybody. I had my brother, but we were estranged for over 15 years. But I knew that I had to go somewhere other than where I was prior to going to prison. So I had to make some choices. Do I go back and raise my children, or do I go and get myself better and be successful, and then go back to my kids? So I released to Kent or Tacoma, but prior to that I met I gotta stand this way. Prior to my release, I met a wonderful lady in the women's facility camp in Dublin, California. She told me to go to Pioneer. She told me to go to Pioneer Industries in Seattle. She told me that I would be successful there. She knows who she is. Sorry. And I'm very thankful. So, one thing I was sure of is that I wasn't going back. I was going to enroll in college, stay focused. After the 2-week block out in the halfway house, I started online courses with the University of Phoenix. I was unskilled, no computer knowledge. I really didn't know. Somebody asked me right before I was getting out, "Are you going to go surf the net?" I was like, "What is that? What do you do?" I said, "Get on the net. You can search things." I was like, okay. So no, I wasn't sure if that's what I was going to be doing. But the first 2 months worked from the computers at the campus and learned how to navigate and get help from the tutors. I also followed the advice I had gotten about Pioneer, and I started employment as a production employee in September 2009. The journey now begins. Riding the bus from Tacoma, from the Pioneer housing on J Street to Seattle every day, with my little computer in my lap, going to the college, back up to the halfway house by curfew, back up again. Did that for 7 months solid. Every month seemed to bring a new milestone. In October, I met an amazing man who first was a pain in the butt friend that pushed me to do better, that is now my husband. In December, I got my first promotion to manufacturing support supervisor from $8.45 an hour to $11.25. I was ecstatic, only 3 months on the job. In February 2010, I was released from the J Street Pioneer Halfway House. I stayed with my brother in Kent and still commuted the bus from work and to the campus in Tukwila to help with my homework. April 2010, moved into my own apartment, got my first car, new used car, paying 24.99% interest. I thought I was doing good. I did get financed. In June 2011, I graduated with my AA, best feeling in the world. High school dropout with a degree. My confidence was building. In February 2012, promoted at Pioneer again to expediter at Plant 1. Still striving to get from the very bottom to the top. In April 2012, successfully completed my probation, I received a call out of the blue on a 5-year probation term. After 2.5 years, I was released. 22 years of being supervised by either a probation officer or the federal government. Federal probation officers. October 2012, I was promoted again at Pioneer, Master Scheduler. Immediately, in April 2013, Interim Production Supervisor at Pioneer, and then right after that, graduated with my BA in Business Management. August 2013, promoted officially to Production Supervisor, starting at Plant 2, moving up to Plant 1, as the sheet metal finish line supervisor. I was 4 years out of prison, 4 years at Pioneer, and I had earned my degree. The scariest moments of my journey happened here. 2015, I get a job offer I couldn't refuse. I had left Pioneer. I moved over to OmniFab as a production manager. Stepping away from Pioneer meant I was going out on my own. It's like leaving home for the first time. At Pioneer, there's a feel of security, not for the job, but for the focus, sobriety, and freedom that we all strive to keep. Stepping away was one of the hardest things I did in that first 5.5 years. The only thing that made me feel okay was I knew who, as a boss to work for, was John Shepard. As I said before, most of you already know who he is. He invested a lot of time in me, mentoring, not only for school, on the job. So I decided I'm not going to be alone. I can do this. I was still going to school, and in June 2015, graduated with my MBA in business. During that time, I also got married in Hawaii to my supporter, best friend, surrounded by 22 family members. While I was in Hawaii, I got a text from my boss, and he asked me in that text if I wanted to apply for a GM role for Blue Streak Finishers in Everett. I was thinking, oh no, what did he find while I was gone? What did I do? He said, no, you know you owe me 2 interviews a year. I said, okay, we'll talk when I get back. So I went ahead and I talked to the recruiter. I sent in my paperwork. I had a phone interview that same very day. The next day I found myself in Blue Streak having an interview with the VP of operations for the West Coast for Valence, which is their other name. The corporation is Valence. And then the next day I had a phone interview with the VP of sales A couple weeks later, it was a phone interview with the CEO. I'm asking John, why so many people? I said, I don't ever remember this many interviews. He says, the further up, the more interviews you got. I'm like, oh, goodness. So the next one was the VP of HR, and then the COO on another phone interview. I made it through all of that. June 17th, I accepted the offer. But as I went and grabbed the paperwork and I was looking through it, it says, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Oh, man. I got to tell him. So I'm in a panic. I call the HR, corporate HR, and I said, Greg, I got to tell you something. I was beet red, sweating. If I was in front of him, he would think I was a crazy. I said, I got to tell you something. I read the paperwork, and it says if I ever been convicted of a crime. So, yes, in 1999, I was convicted for possession of methamphetamines, and I had to go to prison for, and I was just rambling on, and I said, but I've done this, this, and this since I've been out. And I heard a little giggle, and he says, I said, do I have to say anything else? He's like, no, Paige, we don't care. He said, you're okay. And come to find out, when he ran my background check, there wasn't anything there. I'm like, oh, sheesh. So now I decided I was going to go on. They hired me on as ops manager with a succession plan to be GM by January. So leaving OmniFab now, that was the struggle within. I am now completely free of all security blankets. I'm out in the world. I'm working for a corporate company that could decide one day, oh, we don't want to do this no more. We're going to move on to this type of business. We're selling out. So it took a lot of strength for me to go, I mean, what if I don't get the sales numbers? What if I don't make the cut? I mean, there was so many things going through my mind, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go out there. I can't refuse. So July 5th, I started my new role at Valence as an operations manager. September 2016, bought a new home in the Renton Landing area. And now, acting interim GM on my way to my first long-term goal. So to recap, after leaving Pioneer, my successes started. New production manager, brand new car, 2015. I've gone on a few real vacations. I've taken a Mexican Riviera cruise, graduated with my MBA, got married in Hawaii. I got my new job, bought a house, and lastly, submitted my pardon paperwork to the president. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I get my presidential pardon. So throughout this journey, my success was driven by my will to succeed. Pioneer and the employees gave me that crutch until I could fly, and fly is what I'm doing. Went from no job, no confidence, and a broken soul to confident, thankful, strong woman with a full soul waiting to give back. That is why when Hillary asked me to speak tonight, I couldn't resist. Thank you, Pioneer founders, for such a strong crutch for those of us who need help walking through our journey.